fellow heroes and Force users of all ages, hello there, and welcome back to Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. I'm Daniel Dawson, and I'm joined by my fellow friends and fellow nerferders, Alyssa Simmons.
Good day.
And Dino Nicandros.
Hello.
Today, we are doing a special episode completely devoted to Moon Knight, because we have no idea who he is. So we did the research so you don't have to. So sit back and relax and enjoy our intro course on Moon Knight. Moon Knight for Dummies. Moon Knight's created by Doug Munch and Don Perlin, and by God, we're Marvel fans.
Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.
Hey, our second,
Moon Knight.
No.
Moon Knight.
He's very, very different.
He is.
He's
Yes.
not the same person.
We didn't know that, but
Well, to be fair though, several people, including the IGN Comics Award person, said Moon Knight is basically Batman with dissociative identity disorder, which is okay, sure, but you could really say that about anybody.
I am that as well.
I think it was an easy way for people to understand that we're getting into grittier Marvel territory
Sure.
with Moon Knight. So it's easy shorthand to say,
He's
it's
kind of like Batman.
it's Marvel's Batman.
It's a little darker.
He's not.
No.
He murders people.
yeah. There is a very distinct difference there for sure.
And also doesn't remember it happening because
Which is
he's
so
so manic. So, well, I guess we better just freaking go into this.
Should we dive into it?
Yeah. Daniel, do you want to start us out?
I guess so.
Who the hell is Moon Knight, Daniel?
Yeah,
is
who
he?
the hell is he? All right, so Mark Spector. That's the guy. Mark Spector, the first of numerous of his identities. Born in Chicago, Illinois, the son of a rabbi who, as a child, had managed to escape Nazi prosecution after Hitler invaded Czechoslovakia. I was like, whoa. Already.
Right off the bat, starting light and
So much I didn't realize. I was like, okay, cool. Mark had a younger brother named Randall, who would get bullied because his dad was a rabbi, and Mark would be there to defend him. So there's an anti-Semitism story that I had no idea that was going on. Which also I'm curious, because there's really been no hint that they're gonna do any of that in this particular show. So I am curious to see whether or not they actually dip their toes in that territory.
The character will be Jewish, but
Yeah.
because it's in modern
It is
day.
canon.
day, it's probably not going too deep into the Holocaust stuff.
Yeah, maybe not.
At least as far as he and his brother are concerned.
Sure, yeah, right. But maybe we'll see some, flashbacks or something. Who knows? Towards the end of his childhood, Mark found out that a close family friend, Rabbi Yitz Perlman, was actually some asshole named Ernst, who was, dun, a Nazi deserter and serial killer of Jewish people. Yikes. Mark was able to fend off Ernst, but not without causing a fair amount of mental trauma, which inevitably led him to develop dissociative identity disorder. And for those of you that don't know what the hell that is, including myself, I already looked it up on Wikipedia. Here we go. Dissociative identity disorder, previously known as multiple personality disorder, is a mental disorder characterized by the maintenance, yes, of at least two distinct and relatively enduring personality states. The disorder is accompanied by memory gaps beyond what would be explained by ordinary memory issues. The personality states alternately show in a person's behavior. However, presentations of the disorder vary. And I'm sure they will in this show. The first few identities that emerged were Stephen Grant, millionaire, and Jake Lockley, the cab driver. After his father's death, Mark eventually joined the Marines for 3 years, got dishonorably discharged, later worked for the CIA, left the CIA and became an illegal mercenary soldier for hire with his new friend, Frenchie Duchamp, I think his name is.
Deschamps.
Deschamps! Oh, yeah, because he's French.
French.
He's French. Hence the name Frenchie. Yeah, French soldier. Right.
What gave it away?
Yeah, so weird. such a clever name. Mark and Frenchie, the Frenchman, get involved with this guy named Raoul Bushman in Egypt, and they're trying to raid an archaeological site. Bushman kills the lead archaeologist and goes to kill his daughter. Her name is Marlene. And so Mark tries to step in and protect her and punches Bushman in the face. Bushman is like hella pissed by this and mortally wounds Mark, leaving him to die in the desert. But his body is placed beneath an idol of Khonshu. And this bitch brings him back to life in exchange for his service. Okay.
Now it's important. Tell us who Khonshu is.
What a great.
Yeah, this is.
Thank you. That was my next paragraph.
Oh, good.
So now Khonshu is the nocturnal god of the moon, god of vengeance, starting to sound familiar, and the shepherd to the lost. He was described as the greatest god of the great gods. That's saying a lot, you guys.
So he's great.
He's like hella great. He represented the moon. The moon, right? A universal symbol for the redemptive power of insubordination, femininity, and sensitivity. He was protector of travelers in the night and guardian of travelers through time. Ooh. He was a member of the Heliopolitan race of gods who lived in the extra-dimensional realm of celestial Heliopolis. Wow, these are words. Adjacent to Earth, and was worshipped by the people of ancient Egypt. Not being able to enter the earthly plane. So throughout history, he would pick champion who would work as an avatar and be guided by his will. The lone warrior would be called the Moon Knight. So, did you get that?
Got it. It's here now.
Yeah,
Okay.
it's in there. I'm sure they'll describe it much better than, and much more clever and fun. So Mark agrees to be Khonshu's avatar, basically, and does his bidding. So, it's that or death. It's like cake or death.
Yeah.
I
Cake,
choose
please.
cake.
Well, we're out of cake.
Yeah.
Okay.
Cake. And with a new purpose in life, moves to New York City with Frenchie and his now lover, Marlene, and developed the costume, equipment, and persona of Moon Knight with the fortune made from gambling, random. In addition to supporting his new career of fighting crime, he began using his Stephen Grant persona, that's the millionaire, as a financier, and Jake Lockley as a cab driver whose purpose was to gather information at street level. His original persona, with its multiple facets, faded into the background. Still leading 4 separate lives put great mental stress on Specter. So that's the origin story, in short. I don't know if that's how they're going to start the show, but it kind of feels like we're going to sort of start maybe like not like in the middle, but like just past the beginning. So then they're going to kind of go back and show how we got there, maybe, right?
Yeah, we've chatted about this before. Marvel does a great job at kind of taking what they like from the backstories and histories of the comic characters, and we'll get into this in a little bit.
Yeah.
But
because it already feels like they are it's pretty clear that they're changing a lot of that origin story.
Yeah, and Moon Knight as just a character in general has changed and a lot.
Yeah.
So I'm gonna talk about that in a little bit.
But
I think,
and interesting though, I think one of the big differences is the kind of the base personality, Daniel, you were referencing. Mark Spector as the one we all know. He's the mercenary, but I believe the starting persona,
Mark the Merc,
that we'll be introduced to is Stephen Grant.
I think you're right, because in the trailer, when he's talking to someone in like the mirror, that mirror person is Mark.
Yeah,
Yes.
yeah, that makes sense. And like how
So-
sad, like his like who he really is like sort of trapped inside. Like, hey, listen to me.
Yeah, if you have any questions about or just like are curious about what DID is,
It's
I highly
fascinating.
recommend watching the television show The United States of Terra, starring Toni
I love
Collette.
that show.
She has DID. That
She
you didn't
does.
know. Yeah, you
Yeah.
didn't know that she had DID.
Oh no, I didn't know that. Yeah,
Oh,
I literally almost forgot about that show because it's just it
Yeah.
ended before it like ended, and it was such a bummer because
Yeah. So she is someone who is diagnosed with DID.
Brilliantly
and has,
acted show.
She has at the beginning of the show she has like 3 main sort of alters, and then more appear.
and
And
yeah,
it's
they're great.
It's super fascinating.
And Captain Marvel is in that show.
Brie Larson, yeah,
There
that
we
was her big breakout role.
Yeah.
Also, the movie Split.
Yes.
Oh yeah.
James
uh-huh.
McAvoy. He takes on what 27? Was it 27 different
Mhm.
personas?
Yeah, no big deal.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah, it's
If-
interesting too how the language has changed because originally in this comic they would talk about Mark having schizophrenia.
Mm-hmm.
mhm.
And
Right.
then sort of like 5 years after that they were like, "Oh, now he has multiple personality disorder," and now the correct
So you bring up
And-
an interesting thing, and I forgot to tell you in my research about his origins. Him seeing Khonshu and like Khonshu being like, "You're my bitch now." Like, I think that there's a little bit of a like there might have been a retcon in his origin story. They're not really, and I'm not sure. I think
I'm
where
gonna
it
ta-
sits.
I'm going to talk about it in the
You are
publication.
okay. Cool.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, because it's about whether or not he thinks that it was
If
real
that
or not.
happened or
Yeah. Okay, cool. I won't
Indeed.
step on your toes.
Dad.
But well, why don't I really quick just finish up by telling you like sort of his abilities and powers and la la la.
Yes.
Oh,
What
yeah,
can he
let's hear
do?
it.
What can he do? I mean, other than basically being immortal. I mean, whatever. He's got like an Egyptian god by his side. He's like, yeah, if you die, it's cool. I'll bring you back. So that's like a little OP. I'm trying. Yeah. I'm trying to read up on his powers and abilities, and from what I can tell, most of his abilities come from him just being a super smart badass and from his time in the Marines and being a mercenary. Also interesting, like when I was doing his research, like it was like, if you look in like the Marvel fandom, web
Mhm.
page or whatever, it like shows like weaknesses and it shows like his mental illness. And I was like, interesting because like it's like contradicting itself because like in another like part of that, it also kind of like shows it as like a strength because
Mhm.
like each of his identities like brings like a special thing to the table that he needs in order to get the work done. But yeah, like so he's an expert pilot, an expert detective because he knows the streets of New York like the back of his hand. He's an interrogation expert, master marksman, weapons master, master martial artist. Apparently, was a heavyweight boxing champion at one point.
I mean, all of this makes for a very good hero.
Yeah.
person.
Yeah.
Well, and,
But I
and
mean, none of that really like has anything to do with being, the right hand of Khonshu.
Right.
Which-
No, and the abilities he is granted by Khonshu, like he is able to see into the future at points. He is given like enhanced protection from telepathy, and
Mhm.
so like he becomes like an enhanced think. You could think Captain America in the sense that he was imbued with these powers artificially or
Right.
magically, but that'll be super interesting to see.
Yeah.
To see all of that, and the difference is like because we're kind of getting back into that mystical realm again. We'll see if there's any visual parallels to how it's portrayed in Doctor Strange and WandaVision
Mhm.
and or if they'll go for a completely different aesthetic. So that'll be cool to see.
Well, yeah, because it
Yeah.
does like and feel like how separate they're gonna be keeping, does this fall into that category? Is it a new category where we're going into like mystical spooky land?
Yeah, from what I have read in interviews and stuff, they really are trying to focus on this kind of being its own thing
Mm-hmm.
Yep.
and
That's
not weaving this into the big
the bigger picture.
giant Marvel narrative at the moment,
Sure.
which I think is great because
Yeah.
it really he's a brand new character, live action wise. So to have them just say like that's what we're really going to focus on and having him be super established and getting all of this interesting, very, very magical, and I think different magical than Wanda and Strange.
Yeah.
Really focusing on that and having it be like this nice solid core that like then they can put him into other stuff and it will. Yeah, I really like that they're doing that with this show.
Yeah, me
And
too.
Oscar Isaac mentioned that his favorite Marvel movie was Iron Man because
My boyfriend.
it completely upended the superhero genre in the way the character was portrayed, and he loved that there was so many unknowns, and
Right.
We hadn't really seen a Tony Stark before. I mean, you could kind of make a Bruce Wayne comparison, but not really. I mean, you'd never seen a Tony Stark, especially in the way Robert Downey did it, and
Robert Downey did it.
and and Oscar Isaac talks about Robert Downey Jr.'s performance in particular as being something that he wanted to
Emulate.
emulate in the sense of like creating something entirely new that
Yeah.
nobody outside of very diehard Marvel Comics readers would have
Picked up on
bothered
it.
to learn about. Because Iron Man was like a C-list, well, let's call him B-list.
Yeah, I mean, for real,
Marvel hero.
nobody really cared about Iron Man to be.
No, he was
Aw.
just
Frank.
part of the Avengers, but
Who became like probably many people's favorite.
he became. I mean, it was unexpected that he would eventually become the face of
Mm-hmm.
everything.
The helmet.
Absolutely.
To finish off his many things, he speaks numerous languages. He's pain resistant. He's hella strong. He's got a cloak that helps him like fall with style.
Love it.
Not quite flying. He's got crescent darts, a truncheon, which
A
is
what?
a device
is that?
functions as a simple club, a nunchuck, grappling hook.
Can you say the word again?
Is it a truncheon? Is that what you said?
Truncheon? Isn't that how you say it? No.
I don't know. You said it in a
Truncheon.
I've not heard that word
How do you
before,
not say it
so-
like that? I don't know.
I don't know
I've
what
also
that
never
is.
heard that word before either.
Okay, a truncheon.
Yeah.
Alright.
Mm-hmm. Truncheon. Truncheon. How would you say that word?
Yeah, I think I would call it that.
Oh,
a
thank God.
truncheon. If not, oh well.
Oh well. That's the way it is now. He has an energy shield.
Cool.
Silver cestus, which I think is how you say it. Cestus. And an ankh, which is an Egyptian symbol that looks like a cross with a little loop at the top. You know what I'm talking about?
Huh? Yes.
And they would that would light up in the face of imminent danger and could be thrown or used like a club. Yeah, and all the things that that Dino mentioned as well. Very, very interesting. But yeah, again, a lot of it like not really. He gets probably like maybe most of his strength from like his own background, which is I think pretty cool.
Yeah, that is cool.
I mean, other than, being brought back to life. That's a pretty big
Yeah, I
one.
mean, I was gonna say I think he gets a fair
Other than,
bit
like-
from the moon god.
other than-
yeah, he gets
Other than resurrection.
a
but
sensible
sure.
bump. Yeah. Yeah. But anyway.
But it is cool that like most of his like strengths and feats are from his like, human side.
And this is, of course, from coming from a person who knows nothing about him and has just like, barely scratched the surface on the research. But we're gonna find out what else he can do, and also just the differences because in my research it was saying that he developed the costume himself, but like in the commercials of this new show, you can see that like the costume kind of like forms around him in sort of a spooky, mystical way, and I'm
like a symbiote kind of.
yeah, totally that feel. Yeah, so I'm very interested.
Yeah, I mean, it's possible that like that's what he sees is happening when
That's
he's
interesting.
when he's in as certain alters.
Yeah, that would be interesting if really, really interesting. Like he sees it as this really cool thing, and then like other people around him see him as just like, let me just put on my pants real quick. And,
He just has like he just bought like a mummy costume from Party City.
Yeah.
It's just like, I am Moon Knight.
Oh
And
my
they're like,
God.
ugh. Yeah. Yeah, it's a super interesting character.
I'm
really
very excited to
excited to see where they take him.
Yeah.
'Cause
and they put it
Wowzy.
in very capable hands. He's gonna do so
yes.
good. Like, yeah. So what's next?
I think me.
Well,
right?
do we want to go down and
Some
learn
comic?
about where he shows up in the comics and
Yeah.
Ooh.
Let's
bit of
let's
background
do
there.
that.
A bit of background.
So his first appearance was in a comic called Werewolf by Night, number 32. That was in August of 1975, written by Doug Mensch, art by Don Perlin and Al Milgrom. And people liked him. They were like, yeah, this is kind of interesting and
He's
cool.
pretty
But
cool.
he didn't get his first solo ongoing series until 1980. That was with Doug Mensch and Bill Sienkiewicz as the main creative team. And we sort of get a more expanded origin story, obviously, with his own comic now, which is including the resurrection and the tomb of Khonshu, and lots of the stuff that Daniel was talking about in his kind of origin happens in that first volume of comics. In 1985, Marvel kind of they call it retooled, retconned, moved some stuff around, just to, I mean, in the way that it happens with comics all the time.
Yeah.
They're like, this. Let's,
Pretty normal.
Yeah.
Par for the course.
This was only a 6-issue miniseries with this was by Alan Zelenitz and Chris Warner, and the miniseries is called The Fist of Khonshu.
There it is.
And this is where the characters' multiple personalities, as a result of stress, appear. So this is also where more of his like Egyptian themed weaponry shows up.
Oh, because that wasn't even in the original. Interesting.
And this miniseries also shows that his Mark Spector's strength increases in accordance to the phases of the moon.
Oh, yes. Okay,
so
that's
sounds... kind of an interesting thing that they can experiment with, and I'm sure that will be a part of the show where it's like, at
like the full moon,
he's got to go
he's
into this like he's got to go into
strongest.
this great battle, and it's like a crescent moon or whatever.
Yeah.
He's like, what am I supposed to do? I can only do so much.
I'm not that strong today.
Yes.
So I think I remember in my research he's like at his like strongest he can like lift like 2 tons or some shit like that.
Oh geez.
Yeah, he's hella strong.
Yeah. And there have been tons and tons of comic runs. I'm just kind of hitting the big ones.
Sure.
Here he was a part of the West Coast Avengers for a while, which we know Wanda and Vision were a part of. He was a part of the Secret Avengers, which is kind of cool. And now skipping ahead to 2021 into current, which I think is where they're going to pull a lot of stuff from because it takes place modern day.
Like literally there was one last year?
It's ongoing now.
Oh shit, wow.
So something new that kind of they introduced in this 2021 to current phase is that he has his 4 different personalities or alters. He calls them the Traveler is the first one, the Pathfinder is the second, the Embracer, the third, and the defender of those who travel at night.
Right.
The fourth.
And these are all also from what I think I remember from my research that the 4 of those correlate to the 4 sort of like, I don't even know what you call, like pillars of what Khonshu sort of like.
Right.
Yeah.
Yes. The cool thing about
the 4 keys.
the 4 yikes. There's more now, I think. There's more keys. In this current storytelling, he goes to regular therapy and works very closely with the psychologist in order to help him sort of maintain his psychological health.
Sure. Good for him. I also go to therapy, and you should too, because everybody needs it,
Therapy's-
even if you don't think you do.
Therapy's great, and I think that probably will be part of the storytelling for this show.
Oh, I hope
because,
so.
we know, there's sort of like, they've never really straight up come out and said like he's immortal, but he's been resurrected so many times that it's just like probably. Yeah. So that's just kind of like the bare bones of the publication.
He's a bear
history.
too? Oh my god.
He's a bear. He's a moon bear.
He's a moon bear. Bear moon.
They're related to Care Bears. But so yeah, that's kind of like the brief publication history. I feel like can I just continue on now and talk about the other kind of versions of him? If
Yeah,
that's kind of
absolutely.
Yes.
adjacent. So one thing that's kind of cool about Moon Knight is that in several different comic runs, there's a female version.
Oh,
of
that's
this
fun.
character. Specifically in a one-shot comic of called 2099 Manifest Destiny, that was in 1998.
Ooh.
It's a female version of Moon Knight.
Very
And,
cool. Is it a like completely new origin story and everything, or is
It's very similar to the origin story. It's just a female version.
just different person? Yeah,
And
like
female
exists
version,
in a different universe kind of situation. Yeah.
Yeah, 2099 is like a different dimension. Maybe?
Sure, not Earth 616.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Also, same version appears in Spider-Man 2099. Same continuity there. That was in 2015 though. So
Oh, you know what? You brought up something because my buddy Garrett is obsessed with Moon Knight. Like,
oh, cool.
I know, which is great. I like one of the first people I've met that's like, this is like one of my favorite Marvel comics, and particularly there was a comic book arc in like 2016 by Jeff Lemire and Greg Smallwood. But yeah, he said it's like one of the most insane arcs. Definitely worth. I might read that one myself because like he's like a writer and like producer and stuff, and so coming from him, that probably says a lot.
He doesn't like much, is what
He
you're
doesn't
saying.
like much. He is fairly
Picky.
Yeah.
Moon Knight appears in the House of M, which we
Oh.
talked about during WandaVision times. He
Mhm.
was part of Luke Cage's Sapien resistance against Earth's rulers.
That's Nicolas
and-
Cage's brother.
Definitely not. Um,
I need
yeah,
help with Moon
Magneto,
Knight.
Quicksilver, Scarlet Witch. He's like battling them. Although he's not wearing his like normal costume in this timeline, which is a little weird.
Huh.
But in House of M Avengers, he's wearing his like full Egyptian costume garb.
Garb.
So, the Infinity War crossover, an alien double of Moon Knight uses Franklin Richards' powers to become the multidimensional Moon Shade.
Oh, okay.
And then he murders all of the other versions of him in the multiverse
Oh,
of himself.
okay.
So that's dark and interesting,
Yeah,
especially
that's
coming
really
from
cool.
someone who has DID. Like,
Right.
Yeah,
Mm.
yikes. So I mean, like,
yikes.
I mean, I know that you said that they're not really, going to be dipping too much into the the bigger multi
But I mean, we could see
not
not
in this
now, not in this
episodes.
series,
but maybe
but-
eventually, because that's cool.
yeah. Also, speaking of things that are coming down the pike, Marvel wise, where he could potentially be involved, he's a big part of the Marvel Zombies comic run. He is one of the superheroes affected by the plague, the zombie plague, and he is killed by Deadpool
Oh, cool.
in the comics, who chops his head off.
Oh my God. I know that you'd appreciate this, Dino. Speaking of Deadpool, did you see that article where they were quoting Francis Ford Coppola?
Where he was crapping on
Yeah,
Marvel
he's like,
films.
Marvel, bleh, it's the worst thing to ever
Yeah.
happen to films. He loves Deadpool. That's the only one. The only one. He's just like, Deadpool is the best.
Deadpool is life.
I mean I suppose that makes sense to me if you really despise the genre. And
Yeah, you're
And,
right, because it does kind of like make fun of itself, and but it's also
Yeah.
not afraid to like he likes the bloody and the dark and like
yeah, well, fair enough.
Anyway,
Yeah.
sorry, I digress.
That's okay. Since we're, it's the multiverse and that being cracked open is always kind of on my mind when I'm reading this stuff. There's a run called Ultimate Marvel, and this is like a parallel universe of Earth 616. But Mark Spector gets the super soldier serum.
Oh, interesting.
Yeah, so
You mean like before Captain America, or
it's a parallel universe, so it's not.
so
It
like
doesn't-
Like a
in
what
this
if.
universe, it would be like instead of Captain America, it was him.
Yeah, it would be like a what if situation.
Got it. Cool. Neato.
So the super serum sort of it's like messed up. There's something wrong with it, and
Mm.
that reaction is what gives him DID.
Oh, cool. That's neat
So
too.
he's like super soldier, and then one of the side effects is that. So that's interesting.
Yeah, super interesting.
And there he's been in lots of other stories, but I'm just hitting the ones that I think might be relevant, or the
Sure.
ones that I'm just like, this is cool and I want to read it.
Yeah, you're like, that sounds familiar, and yeah.
But one that I was like, this is very interesting, and Dino will know this, that he is part of a Secret Wars
Oh.
storyline, and there are
Mhm.
different versions of Moonlight in the different Battle World domains.
Okay.
There are 4, but the one that I was like, is that in the Battle World domain of Kunlun,
Kunlun.
Specter is a master of a faction called the Faces of the Moon, and he is defeated by Shang-Chi.
Oh, interesting. Very interesting.
So
Quite.
fascinating info.
And as we've hinted at many times, talking about Marvel and where the Marvel Cinematic Universe could ultimately conclude, just keep all the Secret Wars stuff in your back pocket. It won't go down exactly like that. It won't.
Not for the next 10 years.
It won't be exactly like the comics, but
No, and I
anytime
want to say
these
that
interactions-
Hickman has written quite a bit of the Moon Knight stuff,
Mm.
especially within the other.
yeah,
yeah,
he's gotten his hands on the character for sure. Yeah.
So interesting.
So yeah, that's just some publication history and other
Tip of the
versions
iceberg, as it were.
of Moon Knight. I just think obviously with Loki and the variants and now the multiverse, and it's really interesting to throw into the mix someone with DID.
Totally. Yeah.
It's just like
another level.
another exactly. It's another level.
Complicated. I
Mhm.
yeah, I'm obsessed. I like Moon Knight. The way I love doing this research because it does sound like he could end up being like another favorite character of mine. Like I already love his backstory. It's very, very cool.
It's brutal, and Kevin Feige has said that they're not going to shy away from just how sadistic
I mean, just
this
in
guy can be, both
Right.
like both of his choice, but
in
a
the
lot of the time
PG
against his
rated
will.
the PG rated trailer that we've all seen, like he basically beats somebody to a bloody pulp. So it's like,
Yeah.
Yep.
yeah, it's gonna be dark. I'm excited.
And Alyssa, I mean, you mentioned other places he pops up, and it's worth noting that Oscar Isaac recently, and I don't know if this was a spill the beans situation or
Uh-oh.
if this was something he just
Move over, Tom
earnestly
Holland.
would really like. He mentioned the Midnight Suns,
Oh,
which is
okay.
a crossover group
Yeah.
of some of our darker heroes.
Is what they've sort of maybe hinted to at the end of
Wh-
Eternals, right?
Well, when we hear Mahershala Ali, who's playing Blade, we hear his voice,
Right.
Right.
in one of those post-credit sequences, and we know Blade is coming next year.
Uh-huh.
Blade.
But the Midnight Suns historically included Blade, Ghost Rider, Punisher, Doctor Strange, Wanda at one point.
Oh my god.
So
Ooh.
it kind of feels like a
Mega powerful
oops
group of people.
I think he might have
or maybe
given away a little
yeah,
bit.
I mean, maybe something of that was like just said off the cuff to him, and he was like, "Oh, that would be really
Well, 'cause
cool," not knowing that it was like
right.
actually possibly in
Yeah,
development.
that's true.
Well, and there were rumors because obviously in May we've got Doctor Strange coming out.
Strange.
There are rumors that Ghost Rider has some kind of cameo in there.
In what?
Ghost
In,
Rider would have a cameo in Doctor
in
Strange.
Multiverse.
Oh, okay. I believe that. Which
but,
version, I wonder?
I don't know. But Oscar Isaac did mention specifically that he would want his midnight roster to include Daredevil, Punisher, Ghost Rider, and Blade. And Daredevil has never been a part of the group, but with the confirmation that
That's
Charlie
sick.
Cox is going to be
Right.
involved going forward,
Oh man, that's dope.
That would be
That-
that
sick.
would be a fun bunch
That yeah.
of scary,
I would
scary
be
people.
pleased. Oh, I
Yeah,
just
that's exciting.
I don't know if you've been on Disney Plus lately, but did you notice that they added the mature material on there now?
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Being
Yeah, we
what?
got Daredevil, we got all those.
Oh, the
all
old
the
Netflix
all the
shows.
Netflix shows.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Yeah, now you have to enter a pin, which is
Oh
stupid.
my god.
But I'm excited for the mature material.
Yes, you are.
Well, Dino, do you want to hit us with the
Hit us.
Oh, some villains.
villains, your faves?
It's
There's
his
some spooky.
favorite.
There's some spooky folks in here, keeping with the theme of how dark the Moon Knight runs are.
Mhm.
But
and there are
rarely,
s-
like they're all like, am I right by saying that like rarely we get any like recognizable bigger Marvel universe?
It's sparse, but I wouldn't say rarely because the more obviously the more he gets involved, whether it be Secret Wars or West Coast Avengers,
Mhm.
he is coming into contact with
With those big
The
baddies.
biggins.
we know.
Yeah.
However, and I'll start with the character Ethan Hawke is playing.
Oh, okay, yeah. So
in
who
the
the hell is
series.
he?
So you'd be forgiven, and most Marvel fans would be forgiven for not knowing who the hell this guy is. 'cause
Yeah.
I believe he only showed up in one, maybe I think it was just one comic. He's playing a doctor named Arthur Harrow.
Okay.
Mm.
So this is the comic background, which even just going off the trailers, this is not
Not
what
how
he's
they're
going
doing
to
it.
be.
Yeah.
Sure.
But originally he was kind of you could think of him as a mad scientist, but a doctor who was basically working side by side with the Nazis.
Tale as old
he
as
was-
time.
He was working on the idea of pain theory or
Mm.
how to treat chronic pain.
Oh, okay.
Got it.
And he was performing really grotesque. I don't want to go too deep into this because it does
Yeah.
conjure up real world.
Yeah, legit.
Uh-huh.
But you can see where I'm going with this on camp prisoners.
Yikes.
Real bad dude.
Yikes.
But what it seems like they're doing here, and this is kind of both by Ethan Hawke's admission and also what we can kind of piece together, he's playing a religious cult leader.
That
associated
checks
with-
out with the way he
Yeah.
like dresses and stuff. He looks like he's straight out of a cult. Yeah.
associated with the god Ammit,
Mm.
who is kind of your rival to Khonshu.
Right.
Oh.
So Ethan Hawke has described, we don't know much beyond that, but interviews with Ethan Hawke, he has said
so we basically have two god avatars fighting against each other, is what you're
well,
saying.
that's the whole premise of the show. Yes, like
That's sick.
It's not the whole premise, but the background conflict is Khonshu plucking Mark Spector or Stephen Grant, whichever comes first,
Sure.
Right.
and using him in a battle against other gods.
Right.
Ammit being one of them, I would assume. And but Ethan Hawke described his inspiration for the character, and this can kind of tell you what direction they're going with him. He said he inspired his performance with cult leader David Koresh.
Oh, I think I saw this interview.
So you'll know David Koresh was from the Waco Seventh-day Adventist, very scary apocalyptic group
Yeah.
in the 1980s. Fidel Castro, yikes. Dalai Lama,
Interesting.
fascinating inclusion.
Very interesting.
Leo Tolstoy, and Nazi Dr. Joseph Mengele.
Oh
Yeah.
God.
And
What a fun bunch.
and then wrapped up in that bow, he goes on to say, what if Steve Jobs was a bad guy?
Oh.
And I was like,
Oh.
Neat.
and further went on to say that he was I believe he described, and this is paraphrasing, he called him a sane psychopath,
Mm-hmm.
which is an interesting dichotomy. So like somebody who's fully in control of their faculties,
But just really
but
bad.
takes some really sick delight in
Huh. Ugh.
performing whatever he performs. So yeah, you've got a cult leader basically, and from the look of the trailer, you see some of that mystical. That's what made me kind of question what how they're going to physically be depicting it, if it's going to be like we've seen in Doctor Strange,
Yeah.
and with Wanda, and if there is a link there, maybe
Mhm.
not. So that's Arthur Harrow, and again, not someone you probably would have known beforehand. They went to the bottom of the barrel here, and
Which
I love
kind
that.
of love. Yeah, I love that, honestly,
Yeah.
because the
And giving
thing
them a
is,
new
like,
purpose.
in most comic runs, yeah, you might get a big, if you are with a group like the Avengers or whatnot, like you might get some of the big baddies, but like these kind of like street level heroes, even though we've got the magic and stuff going on with Moon Knight, like they are going to be, we're not going to really know about them.
Yeah. And to be honest,
So-
I mean, like, for a guy who like didn't really grow up reading the comics and stuff like that, like, I mean, you could have told me that Thanos was like an NBD guy, but I mean, like, I do you know what I mean? Like, it doesn't really matter to me because I don't really know. Like,
Yeah.
this guy could be a big baddie for all I know, and I'd be like, ooh, cool.
Yeah,
Yeah.
there
Yeah.
are loads. There are loads of villains. So
Yeah.
In terms of another confirmed kind of villain, we'll call him more rogue than maybe full on villain. But,
Oh my God, Rogue is in this?
No, Daniel.
Oh, so
The character of Midnight Man,
oh,
a master thief, no particular, no superpowers of any kind.
Mhm.
And if we're going with the
just really good at thievery.
Moon Knight is the Batman of the Marvel universe. If we're going with that very loose description
yeah,
of this,
who is this guy?
consider Midnight Man as Catwoman.
Oh,
all
cute.
right.
I mean,
a really
like,
sophisticated and talented stealer of things.
but they're not gay for
Alright,
each other.
alright.
No, Daniel.
No,
He can
But
still
maybe,
hope and
maybe.
dream.
I don't know.
damn it! I know that Oscar Isaac is gonna star in a.
Maybe one of his alters is queer.
Oh,
Sure.
that would be so fun.
Cookie kaki.
Sure.
Cookie kaki. Cookie kaki.
I want that. I want it. I want it. I want it. I know that Oscar Isaac wants it too, to be honest. I mean, really.
Quite possibly.
We speak for
but-
him here.
We do.
But Midnight Man, and this is rather sad, is being played by an actor named Gaspard Ulliel, who passed away
Aw,
after he finished shooting.
damn.
And you'll maybe remember, if anyone has watched the Hannibal Lecter series,
I
Gaspard
didn't,
Ulliel played a young Hannibal Lecter in Hannibal
Oh.
Rising. It's a very scary movie. He's very, very creepy.
God, wait. So how old is he? He died pretty young then, huh?
He's in his third. He has to be in his 30s.
Jesus, that's so sad.
Late 30s.
And
But
he's in this show.
he is in the show. He finished shooting, but obviously going forward,
Ugh.
Yeah.
That's so
I'm not
sad.
sure how involved he'll be. But he's one of the earliest villains, who kind of reoccurs in some of these Moon Knight runs. He showed up in Moon Knight #3 in 1981. So that'll be interesting. Who else have we got here? Well, let's we've talked about Khonshu, and the reason I want to bring up Khonshu again.
Oh yeah.
Khonshu, they're going to have a very complicated relationship. So
Right.
inclusion
Of
in the villain section is in the eye of the beholder. But Khonshu
Sure.
makes Moon Knight do some pretty shitty things that Moon Knight doesn't really want to do, and there is a history of Khonshu punishing him for that.
Ew.
Mm.
But the voice of Khonshu will be F. Murray Abraham,
Oh,
Cool.
great.
who is a spectacular actor.
Yeah, great. Ooh.
And this is not what you should know him from, but there is a great little arc on Curb Your Enthusiasm where he is starring as the Ayatollah Khomeini from Iran in Larry David's musical about
I
the
need to watch
Ayatollah.
that show.
Oh yeah,
really
I
do.
know him from Grand Budapest Hotel.
Yeah, Grand Budapest,
Yeah,
yes.
He's
Um,
great.
Oh, he's terrific, but he's a dry son of a bitch, and they've said that the adaptation of Khonshu in this, he's going to be a dick,
Great.
Oh,
kind of in
great.
an entertaining
Uh-huh.
dark comedy, darkly
Yeah,
comedic
yeah.
Great.
sort of way. So I'm looking forward to
That's
great.
that's the Marvel touch. Yeah.
yes.
Yeah, because so far I'm like, ooh, geez, we need something.
Something to lighten it up, lighten the
Yeah.
mood. Yeah, we got Nazis and anti-Semitism and like beating people to a bloody pulp.
Yeah, I mean, it can get.
A little dork.
I mean,
but-
I do think that's when it's at its most interesting, though, is and we've seen this with other characters. You know, speaking of the Holocaust and World War II, and
Mhm.
we've seen it with Magneto, and we've
Yep.
talked about whether that will still be his backstory
if they
in the
have to,
MCU.
they could just,
Well, I mean, he would have to be it would have to be alternate
yeah,
universe sort of thing to
Mhm.
make the age
Yeah.
thing.
assumedly, yeah.
But I do really like when they attach human calamity to
Mm.
To the creation of these heroes, because that's how they were born in reality. Like
Mhm.
Right.
these
right.
stories were written in response to the awfulness in the world,
Right.
Mhm.
and I like when they lean into that. So hopefully the show does that.
But yeah, I don't know if they're gonna go into it in this show, but I think this is what you were getting at, that like Khonshu eventually, like, not by means of like himself, but I think some other force drives Khonshu to go mad and like
Mm.
ends up becoming a villain somehow. I can't remember, but I remember reading that.
Yeah, I mean it's possible. I'm going to be interested to see how they because I haven't I know Moon Knight from the Secret Wars, but I haven't spent time with him on his own journeys. So
Yeah.
Yeah, me either. He hasn't popped into anything that I've read. Even the West Coast Avengers run, like,
Yeah.
issues that I've read, he hasn't been in.
I think I also remember reading too, like in the Infinity War, he was like, he was busy fighting off this guy,
yeah.
Yeah.
So I kept him pretty separate.
So we have another villain who I'm not sure is going to be showing up in the Moon Knight series, but has already been rumored to be in a Marvel Halloween special.
Ooh.
And it is one of the very first villains in Moon Knight. Werewolf by Night is the character's name.
They need to cast Elvira in this in somewhere within the Marvel universe now. Since we're getting into spooky territory, they need to bring her in somehow.
I mean, I guess if the price is right.
Yeah.
she
Oh,
might.
yeah.
She's technically like retired from being
Elvira
now,
right?
because
Yeah.
like
Cast her as something else.
she's she's beautiful. But
She
like,
looks amazing.
She looks incredible, but like I think the last
and she's really funny.
She is, yeah. Because if you don't know who Elvira is, she's made a whole career and brand for herself out of this character that she's been doing since the 60s, I think, 70s?
70s, I want to say.
And
she's as old as I think she's as old as my mother.
She's older.
She's older than my mother. No.
Yes.
She's 70. How old is she?
She's in her mid to late 70s.
She looks so good.
But I was just
oh my god.
I know a lot of people at Knott's who know her, and I know that like her last couple of years doing Scary Farm.
Yeah.
It would take her hours to get into all of the stuff. She would have to like be zipping herself into other skin or something, honestly.
My god, I just remember like my first trip to Not Scary Farm and her hosting that show, and she did her like famous nipple tassel trick. It was like oh my god.
Yeah,
wow.
she's an absolute character, and I mean she has a full like comic run, and she's been on loads and loads of TV shows. So
Yep, I think she's ready to be in the Marvel universe.
Let's get her in here somehow.
Yeah.
Oh, could she have like a little cameo in the Agatha show?
Oh
That's
my
where
god!
I want her.
See that?
That's where I want her.
That would be sick. That would be dope. I mean, yeah, like still make it serious, but she could have her Elvira flair.
Just
easy. That would have been easy. Sorry, we digress.
But quite.
Quite.
But
how did
so
we get to Elvira's boobs? What the heck?
Werewolf.
Yes,
Werewolf,
of course.
Yes, but Werewolf by Night, but mostly known as Werewolf. He's going to be played by Gail Garcia Bernal, and he's going to be in the Halloween special.
Cool.
And Moon Knight, as Alyssa mentioned, showed up in Werewolf's comics before Moon Knight even had his own run. So Werewolf, I believe, had been around since the 1950s. So
correct.
Okay, now I'm understanding. Got it. So Moon Knight sort of came
Moon Knight's
overshadowed him in popularity.
Moon Knight's first appearance was in
the Werewolf, like
Werewolf
you said.
by Night number 32.
I'm because that's what I wasn't sure, because I actually had never heard of Werewolf by Night, so I didn't realize that was its own arc. That makes sense.
So again, long running rivalry there, and kind of an art mirrors life thing, in that Werewolf, because Moon Knight became more popular than Werewolf in his own story, they ended up giving them kind of a rivalry of like, you're showing me up, you son of a bitch. You've taken the best game in town.
Damn it.
I'm going to mention two others that, as of now, we don't know if they will enter the MCU, but there's a very good chance.
Mention it.
I believe, Daniel, you mentioned
I did.
in Mark Spector's origin the character Bushman.
Yes, Bushman, of course.
So Bushman, I would probably
Raoul.
classify him as Raoul Bushman. I would classify him as the arch nemesis of Moon Knight. They run into each other a lot
because he's the douchebag who killed him for the first time.
Yes. So they served as mercenaries together, and obviously, as Daniel described, things went awry. And my God, so so when and Bushman has been resurrected several times as well. So
Oh, neat. Wait, not by
no, not by Khonshu.
different.
Um,
God, I mean,
but-
if you, I don't know if everybody's getting resurrected in Egypt. You're like, if you're ever like dying, that's where you need to go.
Go there.
Just go to Egypt.
It's Easter all the time.
It's either every day in Egypt.
But in rather gruesome fashion, the first time
Oh,
Moon Knight kills Bushman, and this happens several times. Bushman,
Mhm.
I'm trying to think of the equivalent dynamic where Bushman always comes really close to killing Moon Knight, but
Mhm.
fails every single time, and just fails over and over and over.
Kind of like a
again.
Lex Luthor Superman
Sure.
situation.
that,
Yeah.
that makes sense.
But the
Always
first
trying
time,
to kill him.
the
Always.
first time Moon Knight kills Bushman, he he peels his face off,
Oh, yoy.
I'm sure
Which
that's
gives
going in the
him-
Disney Plus show for sure.
which gives him this disfigured,
Mm.
mangled look. obviously.
delicious.
But
Anybody
he-
in the mood for meatloaf?
but Bushman doesn't have any superpowers, which kind of lends credence to his abilities. He's a very
Mm.
good mercenary. He goes toe to toe with Mark on many different occasions.
And it
so
makes
it'd be
sense
super
that he would
interesting to
get
see him.
resurrected. I mean, because like the fact that Moon Knight can get resurrected is like basically immortal. That makes him so OP. You have to put somebody else like
Right.
up
You've got to
against
do
him.
something that's equal or, yeah, in some capacity.
Otherwise, there's,
Right,
there's
and
no
they're going to
danger.
adjust. Yeah, they're going to adjust accordingly. They're-
Assumedly.
Same with Captain Marvel. Like, I think there is a rebalancing coming
Yeah.
Agreed.
of what they're capable of doing.
Yeah.
Just for the sake of
Like that's a little too much.
Well, there's got to be some sort of danger
That's
or,
more than
you
them.
know. Yeah.
Yeah. Or at least on par. Yeah. Mm-hmm.
all the multiversal stuff. Certainly
Well,
Certainly.
yeah,
about-
that alone.
is beyond anyone. So
Right,
maybe
right.
that will help in and of itself.
Sure.
So that's Bushman. And I have one more, but
Oh my god! I,
just
just started thinking about all the. Oh my god! Like the X-Men that are able to like take people's powers away and stuff. Oh my god! And like use them for themselves. Oh my god!
I've got one more core villain, but there are two that we've seen all throughout Marvel that do pop up a bit more than some of the others in Moon Knight. Taskmaster.
Ooh yes.
Okay.
They've come to blows several times. If you don't remember who
They're blowing each other,
Taskmaster
got it.
is, God damn it, Taskmaster mirrors his opponent's
right.
fighting styles. We see
And is a
a
woman.
new version in the new Black
MCU.
Widow film. It is Antonia Dreykov. Dreykov's daughter is the brainwashed Taskmaster. And then the Human Fly, who is he's a lesser known Spider-Man
Okay.
villain,
Oh,
but
okay. Sure, sure.
but Moon Knight comes to blow with the Human Fly several times.
Wonderful.
I think the one out of the, well, I would say Bushman's a good bet at some point if they continue down Moon
Yeah.
Knight specific story. I'd say the other one that is really, really possible is Shadow Knight.
Mm.
Shadow Knight
Mhm.
is Randall Specter, the younger brother of Mark Specter.
Got it. Okay.
Yes.
Interesting.
Yeah, I read about him a little bit.
So yeah, I guess
Long
I'm,
and
I guess-
short.
Yeah. Tell us.
Yeah, he grows this hatred for Mark because he thinks Mark leaves him to die. Mistakenly believes that his brother just abandons him in the desert after he was shot.
What a
And-
dummy. Oh, so Randall gets shot too?
Yes.
Oh shit.
And-
Well, not the same time. Was this a completely separate occasion or?
I believe this was a separate occasion.
God, guys, just stop
But-
going to Egypt.
But after
Stop
After-
doing that.
Jeez.
after witnessing what Khonshu did for Mark and
Sure.
creating Moon Knight, Randall asks Khonshu, "Can you give me these
what about
powers?"
me? I'm a
so
Spectre too.
So he instead goes to artificial means. He obtains these chemical treatments that basically give him the superhuman strength.
Oh.
This is more similar to Captain America. He
Right.
he gets an enhanced
Or Bane.
abilities.
Not Bane.
Probably
a Bane.
A DC equivalent would be Bane, because the treatments he undergoes, while making him super strong and agile and capable,
Makes him an asshole.
he becomes very violent
Mm.
and crazed, and it sucks all of the humanity out of him. Randall's known for his intellect. It strips him of his intellect, and then they become, two sides of a coin. And Randall is always trying, and almost succeeds again, like Bushman, several times in killing Mark. So
Yeah.
it'll be interesting to see if we get
that. I mean, it's for
Shadow Knight.
Yeah, family drama like that. That sounds like it's right up the Disney Plus alley. Like I could absolutely see that for sure.
And then Alyssa, you mentioned Moonshade. I'm not going
Yeah.
to jump too far back into Moonshade, but it basically a variant who very fittingly in our multiversal story that we've now embarked on will be hunting down other versions of himself and destroying. I mean, so it sounds a lot like Kang.
yeah,
Yep.
totally.
Somebody in the vein of Kang, or
Fan of King.
So some creepy
Everything
villains.
you say
And
today is really right. You need to start rapping, Dino.
I feel like every consonant I utter is repeated.
Yeah, I know. It's so hard because it
you're-
sounds so great.
You're not wrong, Dino. It has been
Literally almost every
recurring.
other.
But I am excited for these lesser known villains, and we've talked about it. I love the feeling of all of this being brand spanking new.
Yeah.
Yes.
Spank me. Very excited.
There it is.
There it is.
Which does lead us to this show.
Ooh, next week, first episode.
So
which is-
it's Wednesdays now, right?
Correct.
Correct.
Wednesday is
It's
our
a
new
6-episode miniseries,
Oh, it's
40
only
to 50
6.
minutes.
That's so short.
It's created by Jeremy Slater, and Mohammed Diab is going to be the director of he's an Egyptian. A lot of Egyptians working on this, which is
Dope.
very
Great.
cool and very
Great.
great.
Yeah,
Love
that's
it.
sick.
Starting at the top with Mohammed Diab, Egyptian director and screenwriter. He's directing several of them, but the first one notably.
Did they
I think
film
he
on
dir-
location too?
They filmed in Hungary, Jordan, and Atlanta.
Cool.
So I think Jordan will be your Egypt.
Yeah.
Ironically, it's Atlanta. Is Egypt.
Right.
Downtown Atlanta.
And as we mentioned, Oscar Isaac is
Luxor in
playing
Vegas.
our guy. Ethan Hawke is our main villain.
Never heard of him.
But they haven't given us a ton in premise other than dissociative identity disorder and a battle between two very angry gods, and Mark being
Great.
caught in the middle.
It's a great premise.
And I like that it's vague, and the trailer doesn't really tell us a whole lot.
Yeah, and to get us through, like, I mean, because that does sound like an epic story. And to get through it in 6 episodes that will be a gymnastics, very, very clever weaving threads.
I feel after I watched the trailers for this, I feel sort of those same like bubbly feelings that I felt about WandaVision,
Yeah,
where it was just like so cool and
a lot of
they
unknowns.
didn't give us like a ton, and it
Yeah.
was just like, ooh, what
Ton.
is this? What's gonna happen? It's like, and even now after we've done a little bit of a deep dive here, it's like there are so many different ways that they go with this.
Yeah.
So
Well,
it's-
and Jeremy Slater mentioned in terms of inspiration, so maybe this will give us a feel for aesthetic. Yeah, he wants a similar vibe to Raiders of the Lost Ark and
Sick.
Ghostbusters.
Oh,
Okay.
random. Okay, great.
all right.
And Raiders of the Lost Ark kind of being the Egyptology aspect
Uh-huh,
of
uh-huh.
it, and archaeology in general, and
Yeah. Ooh, I'm excited. I'm excited.
But we're also
about
getting
this.
into like spiritual, but it
Or
sounds like you're
spiritual
trying to do like
warfare.
funny spiritual as opposed to like spooky spiritual.
Well, and the underpinnings of his Judaism, which
Mhm.
it's super interesting because in Miss Marvel we're going to be dissecting her Islamic faith.
Sure.
And it's just really cool to be bringing those two faiths to the forefront, and in a way that has never been done in any of these films before.
Yeah.
So, I think we've explored a lot of other things, and I think faith is an interesting undercurrent for some
Definitely.
of these characters. I'll mention the writers on the series: Michael Castelline, Bo DeMeo, Peter Cameron, Sabir Pirzada, Alex Minahan, Rebecca Kirsch, and Matthew Orton, and Danielle Iman.
Is there like a head
Rebecca
writer?
Kirsch, she's done Marvel stuff before, right? That name.
Does sound kind of familiar.
Hold, please, because you're
Please
right.
hold.
It does sound
I
familiar.
feel like
Rebecca
Falcon Winter Soldier.
Is there a main writer on the show?
Rebecca Kirsch. I'm not seeing Marvel on here, but her name. I mean, you're right. Her name does sound.
I don't know why that.
Known for Debbie
Well?
Does Dallas. Oh, right, of course. Yes.
Well, she's known for Moon Knight. We're
yeah,
about
she
to.
is. She will be. That's for sure.
And you asked about a main writer. Jeremy Slater is basically like the showrunner. He wrote the first one.
Gotcha.
And I believe he's credited on the last one as well. But
Cool.
I'm sure he had a hand in
Yeah.
crafting the whole story.
Yeah.
He is the needle for the thread.
And what was that? Oh, so we have a new composer doing his first American-based production
Sick.
ever. An Egyptian composer named Hisham Nazi.
Very cool.
Love it.
So
Bringing
we're gonna
in
get
new
brand
sounds.
spanking new music. Yeah.
Ooh, that's
That'll
gonna
be
be
very
so
fun.
cool. That's gonna be so cool. I love it.
But yeah, I don't quite know what to expect. But if we're getting into that kind of grimy world of grimy / supernatural, I think supernatural would be the more than mystical. Would be like supernatural with Blade and
Cats.
Ghost Rider at some point, and it's fun that they've found yet another frontier to explore. And it makes it even more interesting that eventually they will have to interact with everyone else, and I'm always really tickled by how they make that work and keep the tones distinct, yet somehow manage to bring
Right.
them together.
It is an artful dance.
Yes.
For
Yes.
sure.
The one that I'm like still like this one, even though it is pretty different, like I can still feel it like fitting within the Marvel universe. Like I the one that I'm like kind of like I don't know yet is the Morbius movie. Like that one.
Yeah,
I-
because it doesn't.
I mean,
yeah,
it does.
I mean, it's not in the MCU
not
technically.
MCU.
Yeah.
Technically, though, because like it feels like it is, but
Right. I know. I'm interested to see where they go with that because I mean Morbius could.
because vultures in
that date got pushed, right?
Oh, did it?
Yes. It got shoved back.
That one got pushed.
Rewrites
'cause
and reshoots.
It was
and
supposed to be like soon,
shit? Oh, whoops.
but
Oh
Yeah,
no,
I don't
no,
know.
it comes out next Thursday.
Oh.
just kidding. I'm a liar.
JK.
I think it got pushed back to this is the date
Originally.
the
it
day
got
that it
pushed
got
back.
pushed
Okay.
to. That makes
It
sense.
got pushed to where it is now.
All right.
That
all
makes
right.
sense. But
Yeah,
yes, I am. I'm not excited about the show. I'm not going to watch it.
Good.
All right, cool. So we'll see Daniel in like 8 weeks. And
Oh God.
all right. Well, anything else y'all want to add before we
I mean,
boot, scoot, and boogie?
I'm very glad we did this because truly it did like make me hella excited for it because and I mean it raised my expectations, which might be a bad thing, but yeah, I'm thrilled. I can't wait.
Well, and if you're listening to this and you're confused, still,
It's my
that's
fault.
all right because it's Daniel's fault. Number one,
Number one.
First and
And number
foremost.
two, it's also my fault.
Number two, it is convoluted subject matter.
Yeah.
And,
Yeah.
and
True.
we're all going to be on a ride together. And
Yes.
once we get going, we'll do what we always do and talk our way through each episode.
Yeah.
And
It's going to unravel like a big mystery, and it's going to like a big
Quite.
detective story. Very excited.
Yes, for sure.
Woo woo wee woo.
All right, cool. Well, thanks for joining us for Moon Knight for Dummies. This is Inside the Tauntaun, a podcast in the multiverse of fandom. We'll be back next week. I'm Alyssa Simmons.
And I'm Daniel Dawson.
and I'm Dino Nicandros.
May the force be with you.
Always.
Inside the Tauntaun podcast, please like and subscribe.